Hi, welcome back. Go ahead and sit wherever you would like. Thank you for coming. I just wanted to kind of let you know that I will have my computer on my lap to take notes for the session. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it's good with me.
Okay, so last time I know we talked about a little bit of your struggles in social settings. I'm wondering if how that's doing.
Probably about the same. I still just feel like my boyfriend has been really frustrated and I still just don't really know what to do.
Yeah. So he hasn't, I guess, been more understanding? Is he kind of the same level?
Yeah, like the Friday after I met with you, we went and hung out at someone's house, and like an hour into it, I was like, can we please leave? So that was another, just kind of the same thing happening again. And he was like, you went to therapy today, like why aren't you better,
No.
So yeah.
So you kind of expected you go once and now you're all better and there's no issues.
Right, kind of like a magic fix.
Yeah. How do you view therapy?
Well, I didn't expect to feel better after the first session. Like I know that I've been dealing with this for a long time, so I didn't expect it to just magically get better, because if it was like that, then I would have already done it.
Yeah, of course. Something I kind of want to go over today before we start. I want to develop goals together, but before we kind of dive into everything, are you comfortable kind of doing some deep breathing? It helps kind of relax the body, relax the mind. Is that something you're comfortable with?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, so sit with both your feet on the ground, kind of get into a comfortable position, whatever feels natural for you, and then you just close your eyes, and I want you to take one deep breath in and hold it for 5 seconds, and then let it all out for 5 seconds, and then do that one more time. Okay, how did that feel for you?
I feel like my heart is beating a little less fast.
Okay.
Maybe slowed things down a little bit.
Does your body feel like a little bit less tense? Anything?
Yeah.
Okay. That is something I would like to start and end every session with. I think it would be very beneficial for you, one in this setting, as well as something that you could kind of bring out into your life in settings.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the goals. So I want to work together because obviously it is your life. So I don't want to just be like, oh, these are the goals I want to work on. Like I want you to have the autonomy to decide it. So a couple of the things that I was thinking about is one, just a general lowering your anxiety around social settings, but a more specific goal would be that you can make it through social, like big group social settings on the weekends, like with your boyfriend, so you're not having to leave halfway through.
Yeah, I think that's a big one because it affects him too. It doesn't just affect me. So.
Yeah. Do you want to add any others, or do you want to change those? How do you feel about them?
No, I really like trying to be able to like get through bigger social events. I feel like another thing that I could get better at is like inviting people to come to my house to hang out with me, because like I feel more comfortable in that setting anyway.
Yeah.
But that's been harder for me in the past few weeks too. So
yeah. When you are feeling, I guess, these like anxious feelings and nervousness, what are the thoughts going through your head?
I guess like if I'm in a big group, it's kind of spirals, because I start sweating and then I'm like, oh my gosh, people are gonna see that I'm sweating, and then I just get really scared that I'm gonna say the wrong thing. So a thought is probably like I'm gonna embarrass myself.
Would you say the overall fear is that people won't like you?
Yeah, because it's like if I embarrass myself, if I do something that's like stupid, then people are gonna be like, oh, we don't want her around. And so I'd rather just leave before I'm asked to leave.
Yeah. It's like a preventative step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you always had those like fears or worry about being embarrassed, people not liking you?
I remember it more so in like high school. I didn't have like a tight group of friends in high school, but once I got to college, it got a little better because I had like a couple really close friends. But yeah, like in high school in like the cafeteria, I just get really overwhelmed and like I just didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Talking in class was really hard because like everyone's just listening to you.
Yeah. I can imagine being in big group settings like that is hard to deal with when you have this worry that's constantly happening. I would like to go ahead and do a role play. Have you ever done one, or are you familiar with what that is?
No, I don't know.
Okay. So you will be you, and I will, for this specific one, I will be a friend that you are inviting over to hang out. Okay. Maybe, let's say I'm not the closest friend to you, maybe I'm a newer friend, so we don't have a super established relationship yet. Is that typically a setting or a situation that would bring you a lot of worry?
Yeah, I would never probably ask someone to come over.
Okay. Is that something you're willing to work on?
I think in this setting, yes.
Okay. So it might be like it's a safe place.
Yeah.
There's no embarrassment,
right.
you know.
You're not gonna say no.
Yes, I will say yes. I am coming over. And the point of this is basically to get you used to these type of conversations, and we are gonna like at the end of it, we're gonna ask questions about like how you're feeling, what was your fear, how would you have felt if I did say no, or like worst case, best case scenario type things.
Okay.
So we're gonna process through it all in here in a safe place before you start bringing it into your real life. Okay. So let's say should I be a coworker?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a coworker that you think is really cool. We have some stuff in common. We've talked about hanging out. It just never has happened. And so you are making the first move into inviting me over.
Okay.
And go.
Hey. So, we've talked about hanging out, and so I was wondering, like, do you have any time this week that you'd want to come over?
I would love to hang out. This week is a little bit busy. Does next week work for you?
Yeah. Do you have like a day in mind?
How about Monday? Does that work? Monday at like 6 when we get off work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that works.
Okay. And what do you want to do?
Well, we could like watch The Bachelorette or something.
Oh yeah, that is on Monday nights. Okay, maybe we should like bring wine and have like cheese plates.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get the wine. Do you want to get the cheese?
Yeah, I can get the cheese.
Okay. And then I guess I'll just see you Monday. Thank you for asking. Like, I'm really excited about hanging out.
Me too.
Okay. And see you. So that went, in my perspective, pretty well. We scheduled a time. You know, we had made some plans. How do you feel about it?
I feel like really shaky right now. Like I know that you're not gonna say no, but I was still like, am I saying the right things?
Yeah.
Am I like acting normal? I don't know. So yeah.
How are you feeling like in your chest right now?
My heart is beating pretty hard, and like I just feel like kind of like tingly a little bit, but like I can breathe. So
yeah, just a little bit like heightened and tense,
on edge.
Yeah. What was like your thought process through that situation?
Well, when you said you couldn't meet this week, I was like, oh gosh, like what do we do now? Because I probably wouldn't have asked again, you
Yeah.
know, if she hadn't have said like yes right then.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was just trying to figure out like what to say.
Mhm.
I think I liked the question about like what do you want to do,
Mhm.
because maybe if I had an idea in mind of like what I want to do before, it would be easier to ask.
Yeah. I wanted to throw in the like, oh, I can't this week as just like a little bit of a rejection. Because I think a lot of times when you're trying to hang out with someone, it's not like, hey, do you want to hang out tomorrow? And they say yeah, and then that's it.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like scheduling and you have to move things around and maybe you guys want to do different things. And so having that ability to kind of go around that, I think will help you in social settings as well.
Right. So yeah, I guess like not taking it as a personal rejection.
Yeah. So I kind of want to go into like best case, worst case scenario.
Right.
So in that situation, what would have been like your ideal response of mine?
Response of yours, I feel like it starts with like how I act. So I would have liked to be like more confident and like I guess concise in like how I ask, but just really more confident. And then best case scenario is like you being really excited and saying like yes, let's hang out like as soon as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That was pretty similar to kind of how it went, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, what would have been the absolute worst case scenario?
You saying no, and I don't really want to hang out outside of work. So.
Yeah. And did that happen?
No.
Has that actually happened in real life too?
No.
Okay.
Not that I can think of, but I don't usually ask. So.
Now, are you open to role playing? Same thing, like I'm a coworker, but I'm asking you to hang out.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Good, go. Hey, I know we've been talking about hanging out, but we haven't actually done it yet. I'm like really craving like happy hour this week. Or do you want to go with me?
Yes, I want a margarita.
Right? Chips and salsa, and then we get some queso. I really want to go to this place like right down the street. Does that work for you?
Yes, yeah, I can do that.
Okay. I'm thinking like Thursday. Their happy hour is like 3 to 6.
Okay. Yeah, I think I get off at 2 that day, so that actually works really well.
So Thursday, do you want to meet at like 3?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you also mind if like one of my other friends comes?
No, that's cool.
Okay, cool. She's really awesome. I think you'll really like her too. So I'll see you Thursday.
Sweet, see you then.
Perfect. Okay. How did that one make you feel?
I tried to hide that I'm really freaked out that another person is coming.
Yes, I noticed you kind of like froze for just like a quick second and then were really happy and casual.
Right.
But I could kind of see that there was like a little bit of nervousness around that.
Yeah, it's like I don't know her, so it could go really bad.
Yeah.
Also, I feel comfortable like going to that restaurant that you mentioned because I've been there before. Like so, like that's or in my head, you know, it's like one that I've been to before.
Yeah.
But I think if it was like a new one or something, or like a different restaurant that I never tried, that would be harder for me.
So like the familiar settings are really important to you.
It makes things a lot easier. I think like I have a better sense of like what to expect.
Yeah. So knowing about yourself is really awesome. When you're first kind of getting into this and you're still facing those like really nervous feelings, are you comfortable kind of advocating for yourself in social settings and being like, actually, can we go here? Or do you mind coming over when maybe they suggest something that would heighten your feelings?
Not usually. No,
Okay.
I feel like I don't usually like say no. Let's do this instead, or can we do this instead? I'd probably just not go.
Mm. So you most likely would just withdraw
Mhm.
instead of putting yourself through it.
Mhm.
What do you think it would look like if you like made yourself go to those uncomfortable settings?
I'd probably just feel really anxious most of the time that I was there, and maybe there'd be some like good moments, but I feel like I would still feel like disconnected from it all because I'd be so worried about this new environment.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it would kind of be hard to form those friendships when you're so worried about how you're presenting, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to just quickly go back a little bit to when we were talking about kind of like the overall fear of being like people aren't gonna like me. How do you think that has developed over time?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I was like bullied a little in middle school. Kind of scared to like get out of my shell from that point forward. And then in high school, I just didn't really make a lot of connections that made me feel like it was worth it to get out of my shell. Really up until college, and like had a couple close friends and met my boyfriend, and I could see kind of like the value of maybe putting myself in more social situations. But it's almost like knowing that has made it worse. So now I really know like what I'm missing out on.
So before, when you were kind of like, oh, I don't need these relationships, or I don't see the value in these relationships, it made your anxiety, I guess, lower,
Right.
because it wasn't like you wanted them. But now that you want these relationships and you're trying to have these friendships and connections, it's just brought it.
Yeah, because now I have to deal with it. Before I could just like not do things, and it didn't matter to anybody or me. So
something else I'm wanting to kind of incorporate, and I think it would be beneficial for you, is journaling. Have you had any experience with journaling, or like diaries or anything like that?
I actually really like to write.
Okay.
That's like one of my hobbies, and I took a couple creative writing classes in college. So yeah, I think that would like actually fit in really well.
Okay, so hopefully this will be very beneficial for you. And I kind of wanted to build off of like what we just did, like the role plays. That's kind of what I want it to be geared around. So basically what I would have you do is like every night, every other night, whenever you have the free time, to just write about your day and like the social interactions you had. Write about how you were feeling, how your body felt, what you were thinking, what you were hoping the situation would go like, what it actually went like, and then like the worst case scenario. So then what we will do is when you come into session, that will be a great way for us to kind of like measure where you're at. And then we can kind of like, oh, certain situations your anxiety is higher, oh, they're kind of find the patterns, the improvement, as well as just writing your feelings out and kind of getting them onto paper is therapeutic within itself. So just naming those feelings will be really awesome for you.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay. So that will be something that if you're comfortable sharing, like you can bring it into session and we could read something, or it could be something where you kind of just do it every day and you're monitoring it. So I'd never want to force you to like share anything that you're not comfortable with, but there is that option for you to bring your journal in.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay, so that will be something I think like weekly we can just check in on whenever we're at session.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I know last time we kind of talked about, just like identities and certain things about ourselves that are really important to who we are. And something that you mentioned is that you identify as Texan. But you also mentioned that you don't identify with everything that is meant when you say like, oh, I'm Texan. And I didn't follow up on like what that meant to you. And so I apologize that I just assumed what that meant. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. But if you're comfortable, I kind of want to dive into what exactly being Texan means to you.
Yeah, so a good question. So I feel like Texan in my mind means really independent and like proud of being independent. But I also think that when I say Texan, I feel like people might think that that means I'm like Bible Belt or kind of narrow-minded, and I've really like pride myself on being pretty open-minded to other people's ideas and like the way they view the world, and so I guess that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes total sense, and I thank you for sharing that. Are there any other, I guess since the last time we met, any other identities that are important to you that maybe you think are impacting the issues that you're facing right now in social settings, or anything that's maybe just important for me to have in my mind?
I don't know. I guess my mom is pretty like timid too in some ways, thinking about it, and so maybe like I'm not super bold in social settings, but it like comes from a place of like watching my mom interact and being very soft, and
that's really helpful to know, because that's a part of who you are, but it also could be like a learned behavior,
right?
So again, thank you for sharing that. Is there anything about me that you feel like is important to know in this setting? I want to be an open book with you of whatever is going to benefit you as a client and our relationship. I am open to, letting you know.
I appreciate that. I don't think I really have like any questions for you right now.
Okay.
But,
Okay. That is an open invitation. At any time you feel like there is some questions or something you need to know, please feel free to ask. I will not be offended. I'm totally comfortable talking about that.
Okay.
I kind of want to go into, I guess, educate you on the type of therapy that we're doing.
Yeah, that would
Okay.
help a lot.
Okay, so kind of the approaches that I'm using is from cognitive behavioral therapy. Do you know what that is?
I think I've heard about it. Like it's a lot about thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know really anything else though.
Okay, so the basics of it is that your thoughts affects your feelings, which affect your behaviors.
Okay.
So they're all connected. So it's basically saying that like your behaviors are symptoms of something deeper. So like a typical one, they use like a cognitive triangle, and so it like flows together. So it would be, say the core belief would be, I'm dumb. That's like my core belief. That's the feeling and the thought that I'm having constantly. So then my feeling would be like, so say I fail a test. My feeling would be deep sadness, anger, disappointment, and then like my behavior might be dropping out of school. So because of that core belief of I'm so dumb, it's affecting how I view and act.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because like you asked me what I was thinking in social settings, like people aren't gonna like me, and like I can definitely see how that leads me to wanting to get out of the place.
Yeah. So a lot of times there's different layers of thoughts. So maybe for you, maybe the core belief might be, I'm unlikable. So then those other thoughts might be, oh, they think I'm weird. Oh, everyone doesn't want to hang out with me. Oh, I'm being too quiet right now, or I just said something embarrassing. And then the feelings for you is like that worry and that anxious.
Yeah.
And so then a lot of times your behavior is the withdrawal.
Yeah, I have a lot of different thoughts like that, and it kind of, it's like they're just like ping-ponging, like I'm doing too much of this, I'm not doing enough of this, and then vice versa, like just like no happy medium of like I'm okay right here.
Are you comfortable with just kind of like going through a list of maybe those thoughts and those situations?
Well, I'm trying to think like to our role plays. So I feel like they were kind of like at the forefront in those
Mhm.
moments. Like you're gonna say no. You don't want to hang out with me. Why would you want to hang out with me? No one wants to hang out with me. It's like, people. She acts like she likes me, but she doesn't actually like me. I guess like those are kind of what come up.
Yeah. So again, it's a lot of like the perception from other people, like what they are placing on you.
Yeah. Or like, I'm talking too fast, or like, I should have said something, then, just like hyper aware of everything that I'm doing.
Yeah. So say you were talking too fast. Where do you think that fear comes from? Like, what would that worst case scenario be if you were talking too fast?
Someone saying they like don't understand me, I guess. I mean, that's really not that bad,
but to you it might be.
Yeah.
How do you view yourself?
I think I'm a pretty smart person, but I feel like I'm just like not, I guess, super balanced. Like I feel like I'm pretty smart, but like I'm just like really lacking in the social areas. So I guess like I don't really view myself as like a whole person. Yeah, that sounds weird to say out loud. Yeah,
I can imagine that being like a really heavy feeling and kind of thought to have on yourself.
Yeah. I guess it kind of makes it hard to like ask for things because I feel like I'm not contributing a whole lot. Like I can only give so much because I just don't have these other pieces. I guess that's
So kind of what I got from that is maybe you think that if you were very social, then you would be comfortable asking for things because you're contributing something.
It's like people would like me more. I would like I'd be able to make jokes with people and laugh with people, and so like asking for things from them wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah. It almost seems to me like where you're placing your worth is heavily on like social settings.
And I kind of feel like it's changed in the past couple months because when I was in school, it was easy to think about like how I was doing well in school and like having a lot of pride in that. And since that's gone, it's kind of like, I just never thought school would end, honestly. And so now it's like, who am I, kind of.
What's filling you up now?
Well, I still work, and like I try to be a really hard worker. I enjoy like reading, which is kind of like makes me feel like I'm still learning. So that's a big thing. And then like when I am just like hanging out with my boyfriend and like I feel loved, that makes me feel good.
The educational piece, like the learning part, I'm wondering if you only kind of like you partner learning with school.
I guess in some ways, and like I haven't started like my career yet, so like I feel like there'll be a lot of learning once I get a job in my field. But just working where I work now, it's kind of like mindless tasks, and like I can only do so much so fast. So I try to work hard, but it's still kind of like I'm not contributing to the world as a whole, But yeah, learning to me is definitely has been related to school.
I'm wondering if we could kind of almost twist that. Like break it down and then rebuild it where learning is kind of like a general term. That like you don't have to be in a school setting to learn. And I guess like my theory or like my process behind that is that learning and identifying as a student and being educated filled you up for a period of your time, and now that that's gone, it's not being as filled up, I guess. So if we could find like another area that gave you that same feeling, like you were learning, you were being educated, I'm wondering if it would fill you up like how school did before.
Yeah, I think like just getting better at things and like figuring things out is really important to me. So like, I mean, I feel like this is kind of the same thing, like being in this setting and like learning about myself could be helpful. It's still hard, but
what are some tasks maybe that you've always wanted to try but like never got to? Something like painting.
I was gonna say painting, actually.
I read your mind.
Wow. Yeah, I've actually been interested in painting for a while, but I don't really identify as like a super creative person, so I've always like been hesitant to do that. I feel like I could go and buy the supplies, but I've kind of always wanted to take like an art class and have someone teach me. And I just never felt like I would be comfortable enough to do that. But it's always been in the back of my mind.
I personally, I think that would be so beneficial for you because you're learning a new task. So that already is gonna make you feel like a little bit better. As well as going to a class that is a social setting. And so it's kind of pushing you outside of your comfort zone. So I'm wondering if that could also be like a goal of ours, is to get you in an art class. Maybe the first time you sit in the back and you don't talk to anyone, you're just there.
I think if I think about just going and just painting and listening to the teacher, I could do that. I don't have to talk to anybody.
Okay. So it's kind of like the mindset. Like if you're like, okay, I'm going, I'm just going to
sit
paint
by myself. And
you're already saying like, I'm not going to have social interactions, I'm just going to do it. And then maybe as you get more comfortable, it could be like, okay, now next time I want you to say hi to one person. Or introduce yourself to one person. And then we can kind of like build on top of that. How does that sound?
That sounds really good. Like I could actually do that. Not talking to anyone the first time.
I want to make sure like what we're talking about in here, and like the little tasks that we're doing, they're all things that you feel like you can honestly do. Because I would never want to like overload you with something, because I don't think that will be beneficial for anyone. So I want to, if we have to start from like ground zero, like I want to do that so we can build on it and not overwhelm you. And I think that's how progress will happen. So please feel free anytime you think something might be too much for you, or you don't like it, or it's something you don't even want to do. I just want to invite you to be able to speak freely. What are some other tasks maybe that you've wanted to try?
So, like I said, I read a lot, and I think this would be too much like alongside painting, but maybe it could be like something we talk about in the future. But like maybe joining some kind of book club, or even like inviting my friends to read the same book and like talking about it. I feel like that would be really fun.
I just really want to tell you how I think it's so awesome that you are coming up with these ideas that combine two things. Like they're all some type of social aspect. I can really tell that, you know, you're committed to this process and figuring out like what's going on and how to improve it.
I really want to get better.
Just kind of like one of my thoughts on kind of like the book club again is kind of like easing into it. I know online there are like online book clubs. How do you feel about social interactions like through technology?
Oh, I've never really like thought about it. I'm not like a big social media
Mhm.
person, so like that's just not something I think
Yeah.
about very often. But I feel like that would be super easy. Like I wouldn't have to worry about what I'm doing. Like I'd have time to think about my
Mhm.
responses. So yeah.
I think that might be beneficial because it's taking away that like face to face,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also getting to know new people. So it still has that level of worry for you without like overwhelming you. Because a lot of times in book clubs, it's very like opinion based. It's kind of sharing a lot about
Yeah.
yourself and what you're thinking.
That's why I was like way in the future. But,
Yeah.
But maybe in an online space, if I had time to think and
Yeah. Okay, so that could be something I'll just like add to the list of like future events.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes from last time. Okay, so we met, I think it was like a couple weeks ago. What's been going on, I guess, like in between those few weeks?
So, like I said, like the Friday after I met with you, we went out and hung out with friends, and I left like an hour into it. I feel like maybe that was the biggest thing because last weekend we just hung out at home with our cat and like watched some movies and stuff. So, like I didn't like try to go out. I haven't like invited any friends over, or really seen a bunch of people either. Just been working really.
Okay.
But I don't think like, so last weekend was fine because obviously like we didn't have like a social thing to go and then me freak out and leave, but I still think there's like tension in the house because of me not like wanting to go do things. So yeah, I feel like it hasn't been like, other than that Friday night when we like he kind of got mad again. He hasn't like said anything to me about doing things with people. He went to like a lunch with some of our friends one weekday, but I was working, so I didn't feel like it was like a you're not invited thing. It was more of like I can't be there. But I guess I do worry like that he is just gonna start like hanging out without me and like them just not care if I'm there or not.
So it's almost like you would be forgotten or replaced.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like it would be pretty easy too because I don't like give that much to the group. So yeah.
When you say like I don't give that much to a group, it's like it's talking pretty negative about yourself.
Yeah, but I feel like it's the truth. Yeah. I mean, like there's times when I'm like in my own setting and I feel comfortable and I can laugh and joke and like play games with people, and it's been really great. But I feel like the past few months have just been really hard, and so I feel like that's kind of overriding all the good times in some ways.
I'm wondering if there's been a time that your views on yourself have been positive.
I can think of a time in college when I like actually spoke in class, and like it had been something that I'd found in the reading really interesting, and like I thought I made a really good point and I said it in a really nice way, and like the professor responded well to it, and I was like, wow, like that was really good, I guess. Also when I'm with my friends, like when I have been with my friends and we're playing games and laughing, I feel like I'm normal and that feels good.
So you like kind of the verbal reassurance.
Yeah. And I like people like, I guess responding well to me.
Something that I love to apply in my life, or like I always reflect on it. Have you heard of love languages?
I have, I haven't ever like done the test or anything.
Okay. I think that might also be kind of important for you just to know yourself. My guess would be that your love language is words of affirmation.
That makes sense.
Right, that's, yeah. So the other ones, it's like words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, quality time, and then physical touch. I'm guessing that currently, this might change, but currently your quality time is probably a little bit lower on the ranking, like how you need to be shown love. That you respond better when people are like, hey, I really like being around you.
Yeah.
Or hey, what you said was really funny, or I like your outfit. Just like anything positive towards yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that's probably why it's been so hard with my boyfriend, because it's been a lot of negative words of affirmation.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe if you're comfortable, like for you want to take the test, just so like you make sure, you know, which one is yours, but also just to let your boyfriend in on that information. If that's something you're comfortable with, like letting him know, like, hey, this is how I receive love.
Yeah.
Like, I feel the best about myself when someone is telling me positive things about me.
Yeah.
Because maybe his is quality time. So him wanting to hang out with you and wanting to go do social settings, like group things, that's his way of telling you that he loves you and he wants to spend time with you, but that's not how you receive it. So then it's kind of like a disconnect.
Definitely feels like a disconnect, so yeah.
Maybe
I'll just like, I'll take it and I'll like ask him to take it too.
Yeah.
And then maybe we could talk about that. I feel like I could do it.
Yeah. Is your relationship, or how is your relationship with your boyfriend on like communication level?
I wouldn't say it's bad. Like, we're definitely open about how we're feeling, and like he knows. Like he's always been really understanding of my anxiety and like very aware of that. It's just been really hard for him the past couple months. Yeah.
Okay. I think that would be something that could benefit one, like your relationship, but really like how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And kind of just like letting him know how to love you. Yeah. So we are getting close to our ending time. So do you have any last things you want to add or questions about today or anything?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, awesome. Feel free to stop me if you do have any questions. But I kind of just want to summarize like what we did today. So we started off with some deep breathing, which we're going to end with as well. And then we kind of just like dove right in to our goals. So we identified that we want to, one, like lower your anxious feelings around social settings. And then a more specific goal is for you to be able to last during group settings, like social events. And the point of that goal was to kind of help with your more of like your romantic relationship with your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times he's been having issues with having to leave or not being able to go to group settings. So I think that will make both of you happier.
Yeah.
And so some of the things that we did today to help reach these goals is we did a couple role plays around social settings. We started off with it being like at your house, and then it was out at a bar that you've been comfortable with, and we kind of talked about best case, worst case scenario and your thought process and feelings around that. We also discussed journaling and how that would benefit you and how we could bring that into our therapeutic relationship. And so that is something that you would be asked to do outside of therapy and then bring it back in. And then we kind of talked about our identities a little bit. And you shared to me like what it meant for you to be a Texan. And so that's something I can definitely incorporate like into here, as well as like how you're raised with your mom and like modeling those feelings or those like emotions. And then we kind of just like talked about some other small goals of like activity things that you were going to do outside of session. We talked about a couple that are a little bit more likely for you to start now or more recently, and then some that are going to be implemented later when we see that it's time for them. And then we ended up with love languages.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, I guess, just how you're feeling about therapy. I just kind of want to check in to see how you're doing.
So I mean, like I was nervous coming in again today, but I don't think I was quite as nervous as the last time. I'm kind of excited. Like, I'm kind of scared to say that, but I'm kind of excited about like getting better. So
yeah. I just I noticed you were kind of like playing with your fingers a little bit and like your nails as you were talking. I'm wondering how it made you feel to kind of share with me how you were thinking our relationship was going.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like, what if I'm wrong? Yeah. But also I'm kind of scared to say that I'm excited about something and then it go like really wrong too. So
well, thank you for sharing that. I just want to reassure you that if you're bringing anything about like your opinions on therapy or how we're doing, nothing you can say is wrong. I want to give you that space to tell me I suck or tell me I'm not helping you or because my goal is to help you, and I want to be the best that I can for you, and so I want to work together to get there.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, so let's go ahead and end with our breathing techniques. Okay. Sit and relax, and then close your eyes. Breathe in for 5 seconds, and then hold it for 5 seconds, and then let it out. 5. And do it again. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I'll see you next Tuesday at the same time.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for coming. I'll walk you out.
Awesome.